Hey everyone, David here. Let's talk about this string manipulation assignment. That's on one sheet. Now I'm going to turn the page or flip the next tab here and see that I also have to create a VLOOKUP. Let's go back to the string manipulation. Now what do I mean by string manipulation? Well, I'm talking about text strings. So when I move this to the side, I'm going to look at page 631 from your textbook. Manipulating text with functions. That's all we're doing, is we're going to use functions to make our text the way we want it. First one they show you here in the book is a concatenate. What that does is just takes information from a couple different cells and puts it together however you want it to be put together. They've given you an idea here. They have title here in column A, first name in column B, last name in column C, and what they've done is they've used a concatenate to return last name, comma, first name. And they've done that by going concatenate is the function. First argument would be the last name. The second argument would be a comma and a space. See, there's a little space in here. The third function is the first name. When you hit enter, it says Doe, comma, John. So that's all it does, is just puts the text together however you want. We can change the text from, this one's all messed up. See where it says John Doe here? Makes it so it's in proper format if you use a proper command. If you use an upper command, everything's uppercase. If you do lower command, everything's lowercase. Pretty self-explanatory. Let's see, we have proper, upper, lower. We have substitute that you can change text. We have other functions like a trim function, removes the extra spaces. You have a left command. It returns how many ever characters you tell it to, returns that many of the characters in a line from the left position. If you use the right, it returns specific number of characters from the right. Mid starts from the middle. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'm going to turn the page. We use nested text functions, and in this assignment, you will definitely need to nest some functions. Which ones? Well, that's up to you. I mean, you have however you put it together to make it work. That's what I want to see. What you won't use is flash fill, and I'll show you how flash fill works. The flash fill shortcut, this is really cool. Control E. I love that. I was able to show and demo this, and people like, how do you do it so fast? Well, it's because I use Control E on my keyboard rather than go to the fill right here. See the fill? Go down to flash fill. That's another way. Control E is just a lot faster for me. Let's see, what else do I have here? Text manipulation. We're converting text to columns. All right, that looks good. I'm going to turn a couple pages here, just see what I have going on because I haven't looked. I'm going to go. I would probably check this stuff out, and I would read in this area in your book to make sure you're able to do this. XML, no, I'm not working on that. That's some code. We're not worried about that in this assignment. I think that's text string there. Let's see. Do we have a find command? I know we're going to need a find command on this assignment. I'm not seeing what I want here. I thought there would be some more text functions. So use a find command, and I'm going to show you how a lot of these things work. All right, so here's my assignment. I also said that you can add some columns in here, so I'm just going to add a couple columns just so I can have some room to play. I'm going to insert a couple columns, and I'm also going to make this a little bit smaller because I know I just need a little bit of space. All right, so what I have here is Amy Brown. First name, last name, and I know that because there's no comma. See, there's a comma here where it says Davis, comma, Amanda. That means last name, first name. Here's that comma, that's where we differentiate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the text strings to make this work. Now, what I don't want you to use is text to columns. I know that you could. It's going to be a lot of extra work. I don't want you to, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab your formulas right here. I'm going to double click your fill handle, and if anything changes anywhere in your sheet, you did it wrong. This formula, it's at the top, should be consistent all the way down your column. Okay, that's important. So let me show you what a text to columns is, and then let me show you what a flash fill is. We are not using either one, but it's good to know what they are. So on my data tab, I have, actually, let me highlight a couple here. I'm going to go this text to columns, and what this says is the text is delimited, and we're going to say, how is it delimited? We can say it's on a space. If I take this space off, it doesn't give me that second column. If I go comma, it only pulls the names that have commas out. If I say space, since everything has a space, it pulls those out. And if I say finish, then it pulls out this information. Not quite what I want. Control Z takes me right back. That's an undo. Let's see. Also told you I'd tell you about flash fill. So if I were to type in, let's say if I want the last name, or no, let's just say first name, Amy, and I'm going to go Control Enter. Why Control Enter? Keeps my cell the active cell. Control E, flash fill, pulls out all the names up to that space, however they were. Just really quick. So that's pretty cool. I like it. Control Z gets me out of that. In fact, I'm going to hit delete because I don't want that to be there. Let's look at some of these cool functions. If I use let's use a proper. So I'm going to go proper command. Hit tab. That opens up this information here, and I click on what I want to make proper and hit enter. I can see now Amy Brown is in the proper format. I like that. Control Z gets me out of that. I've deleted it. Well, actually, Control Y puts me right back to there. One other thing that is kind of cool is I can click in my proper command right here. I can click before it if I want, and I can say trim. Open up my parenthesis, puts that trim function, and then I'm going to close the parenthesis here because I need to have a matching set of parentheses. And now if I were to, say, for example, add a couple of leading spaces in front of Amy, it shows here, but it's trimmed them out. Remember that trim function trims all the extra spaces out. Kind of cool. This is a nested function. It's a trim and a proper. Or I could go proper trim. Doesn't matter, but all my text is going to be clean. So I'm going to copy this down. I know no extra spaces, and it's in the proper format. From here, I can start working on my data. I'm going to add me another column here, just so I can show you some cool stuff. I'll double click here, get the names. Let's see, what are some of the things we could do? Well, we could look at, well, let's just for fun, let's look at a left command. Why left? Well, because that's where our first name is, a left command. So if I say equals left, tab, open up that function, click in my clean data. I don't want to click in the original because it's going to give me some funky things. There's my A. Okay, so it's only going to return that first character. Actually, you know what? Let's go back one. Let's try to do some things here because we wanted to look at, what do we want to look at? Actually, I'll put it back in. Cause I'm kind of winging this as we go because I don't want to give you guys too much information because I want you to work on it yourself, but I want you to have enough information that you're able to do the assignment. Let's take a look at the left command, character strings. If I were to put a 5 here because Amy is 5 characters long, it will give me Amy. But if I copy it down, it gives me 5 character long on everything. It doesn't work for Cynthia. There's got to be a way we can auto adjust our lengths here. Wait a minute, length. Oh, that's a good one. Let's look at a length. I'm going to just go ahead and delete all this stuff here. Let's put a length here. And what does a length do? Well, I'm going to just give it a try. Length, tab, click on my text string, and it says it's 11 characters long. And if I were to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the space, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so that's 11 characters long. If I were to copy this down, I'm going to see that all of the strings are different lengths. Okay, so I'm going to work with that. Click on my home tab. I'm going to go ahead and quickly center. Length does okay, but how do I get that 5 out of there? Well, I could look for something. I could look for the space. So this is a big hint. This is how I think I would solve this. I would hit space. I would do a find command, and I would find the space. So I'm going to open up my function argument dialog box so you can see what am I looking for, and I'm just going to hit space. Nothing's there, but I can see it's a space. When I hit tab, Excel automatically adds the quotation marks around my space. So it's going to look for the space. Where am I going to try to look for that space? Well, I'm going to look for it within my text string over here in column B. So B5, and it says Amy Brown shows me the spaces in the 6th position. Now I can give it a starting number, but I don't need to in this case. So I'm going to say OK, and I'll go ahead and center that. If I copy it down, it's going to give me the spaces for all of these different places. Now, could I do math and go like 11 subtract 6 equals Amy? Maybe. So let's just go ahead and try that. What did we do? A left command before? So let's try a left. I'm just going to label it so you see what I'm working on here. And I'm going to go equals left. Helps if I get in the right spot on my keyboard. Tab, left, and I'm going to say it's going to be of this information. My character numbers, I could say could be maybe this, subtract this, and go okay, and I have Amy. So that would be cool. And what I want to do is I want to be able to pull the first name out, and that would be Amy. However, if I copy this down, I can see that it's not going to work for everything. And that's right here. See, it doesn't pull out the right number because the text is long and the last name's kind of going in here. So it works sometimes. So that, I guess if it's 5 characters long, that one worked. There's got to be another way to do that. What else could we find? Maybe the math's not right on that. Maybe we'd have to look at something else. Could we do, I don't know. Instead of taking the length, could we do a space? -1 gives me Amy, and if I copy it down, that looks better, except for now I have Davis and I have the comma with the comma here, which makes sense because here's the space, -1 gives me the comma. All right, I like it. So that would work. How else could I do this? Well, so that would give me, let's see, first name, that works, first name, that works, first name, that works. This is the last name. I really don't care about that one for a moment. First name. So it looks like I pull out all the first names with the left. Love that. I could use a write command and do kind of the same thing. What else could I do? Let me add one more column in here. I just want to add a column because there's something else I think is kind of important to look for. And that could be this guy right here. Let's look for the comma. So I'm going to look for the comma, and I'm going to look for the comma. I know it's here, so let's look for it here. So I'm going to find the comma. So here's my text string. I'm going to open up my function argument dialog box. I'm looking for the comma, tab. I'm going to look for it within this Amanda Davis. And I'm going to say, okay. And it says it's in the 6th position. Now I have another number I can work with. Watch this, however. I'm going to copy it up. And I'm going to get some error messages. If I make this a little bigger, you'll see it. It says there's no value there. Why? There's no commas. So this one here, this one's a little tricky. I could give it an if error. Oh, I like that. I don't have it up here, but there's another function for you to put in your catalog of functions. If there's an error, and I'm going to nest it here. Let's go if error tab. I'm going to click back on the if error and open up my function argument dialog box, and it says if there's an error. What could we do if there's an error? What could we put in its place? Well, since we're looking at numbers, let's use a number. And what would make sense? If there's no commas or 0 commas, we should what? Maybe add a 0. I like it. Whoever said that, yeah, add a 0. You're right. That's what I'm going to do. Now, I'm going to copy this down. Guess what? Ooh, I have numbers. I love this. I have the length of the text string. I have where the space is located in the text string, and I have whether there's a number or not. So now I have a left command. I'm going to open up one more here. Let's do a right command here, and I could say equals right. And what do I want to know? Here's Brown, and it's going to be how many characters? Well, maybe I could go here, maybe length minus my space. Yeah, maybe I could do that. And say Brown. I like it. Now, how do I know? Let me copy this down. Oh, yeah, that looks like it's perfect. Oh, I love that. So how do I know whether to pull out the first name? And I'm just going to highlight it. Don't do this on yours, but I'm going to highlight just so I can show you. These are all. How do I figure out whether I'm going to highlight and pull out the first name or the last name? Because in this column, I only want one name. So I could use, well, here, let's just for fun, let's try, what do we figure? If this or that? Yeah, if, yeah, why not? Let's try an if. So if what? If, how do we know? Why not? Let's pivot it off the 0. If this, whatever that is, equals 0. Okay, so that's going to be our logical test. If that equals 0, no comma, let's use a write command. Then we're going to say write. If not, we'll use a left command. Close our parenthesis. And does that work? It gives me Amy. Should give me Jacob and Cynthia and Amanda and Mark. I'm only going to copy it down to there. And it does. I like it. But what I don't really like is all of these extra spaces here. So what I want to do then is, I think I'm going to clean my data. And I can see that here's my right command. So I'm going to highlight everything inside the right. Here, go Control Copy and escape. So I'm going to come back over here. And so that was my right, which is in G5. So this G5 right here, I'm going to double click on it and I'll paste my right command inside. Now I can delete that one and Amy's still there. And in fact, if I copy this down, I can delete all of these and those are still there. So I like that. Now let's do the same thing for here. I'm going to go all of this. Control C, escape, come back to my first name. And that was going to be my right command. This one right here is my left command. So I'm going to go Enter. Now I can delete this information. Copy it down. Don't get excited yet. Okay, there it is. So technically those two columns could go away. And my first names are still there. See, that's what I want. And if I double click on my first name, it's pulling it from this information right here. If I double click this one, it's pulling it from my clean data. Okay. Now, let me show you what it ultimately would look like. So if I pull this over, here's my assignment. This one here is my clean data. We just looked at that. Here's the first names. I'm pulling just the first names from the clean data. You notice here there's no hidden columns. That means all the trim and proper and everything. Well, here, trim and proper is here. But the left, right, the if statements, all in this first name column, all in the last name column. And this last one right here, this one's pretty easy. It's just taking concatenate and it's just saying we're going to add this plus a space and the last name to give us our full names. So I think that's enough of this one. I'll let you guys work on this assignment here and see what you can come up with. Now, let's flip over to the second sheet. What I have here is I have a VLOOKUP table. Oh, I told you guys we're going to visit VLOOKUPs often, and this is one of those times. So we're going to look at our VLOOKUP. Here's, we're going to use custom validation to accept either a Y or an N. That's this right here, custom validation. Notice there's no list here. If I put a T in here, it gives me an error message, says it must be a Y or an N. So here, if I say an N, okay, it accepts an N. Product code, that is going to be on a drop-down list. So I can put a product code, and then I have my product, my price to quote. If I say here a Y, it changes based on, is it preferred? Yes, 140. If it's not preferred, no, 150. If it's blank, there's nothing. There's no price to quote. Here, if this is blank still, if I put this as a Y, nothing. Now that's actually a pretty easy formula. Think about using if statements. I think I've nested an if statement and what else? I think that's about it. You might also think about looking at an R. So if this cell or this cell is blank, if either of those cells are blank, what do you want to do? If either of those values are not true, then maybe we don't want something to work. So really, I think I nested in an OR and an if, and we know there's a VLOOKUP because here's our lookup table. We're going to look up these products here, going to look down this column, and we're either going to return a column 2 or a column 3 based on, is this a Y or is it an N? So if it's a Y, do column 2. If it's an N, do column 3. So that one should be pretty easy. Remember to, I'll do a Y here. Let me get you a number here. Remember, make this with a dollar in there. So if it's not formatted as money, because all these are formatted as money, if this is not formatted money, I'll mark it wrong a little bit. I think that's it. That's a pretty simple one. That should take you a little bit of time. It's just remember on custom validation, this is not a list. It's either a Y or an N. It doesn't look like it matters if it's case sensitive. It's not. So it's just a Y or an N. That's based on, I'll give you a hint, it's based on an OR function. It could be a Y or it could be an N. So D15 has to equal Y or D15 has to equal N. That's all it can equal. And you're going to do that in a custom validation. So when you go to do that, make sure you're looking at your custom validation. Now, all my things are grayed out. Why? Because my sheet is protected. You need to protect the sheet so that those are the only two inputs that your employees can mess with. That's it. They're going to give it a preferred customer, and they're going to do a product code. End of story. All right, guys, I think I've rambled on long enough. Have fun with the project. Good luck, and I'll chat with you guys later.